Hello, my name is Sabine, and I did my first project on cheese. And yes, if you see that over there, that is a metal pot filled with cheese that is currently draining. I have yet to take it out of the pot and season it and salt it, but it is currently in the process of developing. And in this video, I'm going to show you two things. One is going to show you the two cheeses that I made over there, and I think it's very interesting because it shows you the process of making the cheese and like what I had to go through, because one is a complete failure, to be honest, to my own fault, and the one behind me, it turned out rather good from the looks of it. I've yet to taste it, which I'll be tasting in this video. Yeah, I haven't salted it, but it should be interesting. And anyways, to give a little bit of basis about cheese, the thing about cheese is that the difference between good cheesemakers and not so good cheesemakers is that the good cheesemakers can make it like taste really good, and obviously the cheesemakers that are not so good can't really make it taste that good, because the thing about cheese is that anybody can make it. It just is hard to make it taste really good, which I've yet, of course, to get to that point, but I'd say that my final cheese turned out really good. To give a little bit of background info, cheese is made whenever your milk curdles, and goat milk, cow's milk, sheep's milk, really any type of milk, and curdling, and also is known as coagulating. The fancy term is like your blood coagulates too, but it happens whenever your milk expires, like the expiration date expires, or you left it out too long in the warmth, which is what we're taking advantage of here, because obviously the milk that I made isn't exactly reaching its expiration date. And the next point is, cheese is made by the developing of this curd, because the curdling makes it to release whey, because the curd itself is so acidic, and then whenever you add bacteria into the game, it will create the flavors that you love and know. And another thing that factors into it is a lot of the other steps that are included, which is like the fat content of the milk, which varies between different types of milks, which like sheep's milk, 2% milk, cow's milk, goat's milk. That's why you use different milks for different cheeses. And also even like the temperature could change how your cheese comes out, which is actually the reason why cheese making is somewhat hard to make it really taste good, because you have to have everything on point. So getting into the exciting part now, the cheese that I'm currently making is chèvre, which is, I believe, French. And in this pot is my cheese. It's draining with a cheesecloth, which is a very fine. Sorry, I had to go get my label, because it has yet to be stirred. So my cheese right now, it looks a bit odd. I mean, chèvre is a very soft cheese, and you'll see in just a moment. There's my cheese, and it turned out a lot better than my last chèvre, because my last chèvre, it was midwinter and it was really cold, and the cheese didn't form, and it kind of turned into like sour cream, and now it's like actual cheese. Like, I mean, you might not think of it as cheese, but chèvre is definitely a softer cheese than usual. Sorry, I'm breathing so heavily because I ran up and down a flight of stairs like twice. So it turned out very nicely. I'm actually very happy with this, because I have yet to actually scoop it, because I was waiting for the grand reveal of this to see what it looked like. And yes, this is probably my best cheese yet. Second to an Emerald cheese, which is a Georgian cheese that I actually turned into a cheese bread earlier. And Georgia, not as the state, but as the country. And then, in fact, my second not so proud cheese is in a wall, which, now that I say that, that's obviously why it probably did not work out, and especially since it's on a pipe that's been leaking. So first of all, the humidity was probably too high. Same with the temperatures, I can't really control them, and it turned out really gross smelling and moldy. And it was really sad because we actually had to go out all the way to Harmony to go get a special type of unpasteurized milk. And the funny thing about unpasteurized milk is that you need to buy and sign a form to buy it because consuming unpasteurized milk can be dangerous for your health. But thankfully that danger ceased whenever you make it into cheese. Finale of my cheese making adventure. I would have made a lot more cheese, but unfortunately I hadn't gotten the time to actually go out and get both unpasteurized cheese, goat milk, and unpasteurized cheese, but unpasteurized milk, goat milk, and a few other milks that I needed to make all the grandiosities. Because in a batch of maybe a quarter, like this batch took a gallon, and it's not that much, the gallon by my feet. And it's not a lot of cheese, it's maybe a pound of cheese, and that's quite a little for a good gallon of milk. And the whey that's actually underneath here is filling it up to about a 1/2 to 3/4 gallon cup. But since I said I'd be tasting it right on the spot without seasoning it, I shall, because I don't know what it tastes like yet. Oh, that actually tastes a lot better than a lot of the other cheeses. If I had to describe it, it would be like, it tastes like a chèvre. So I say that's pretty on point to is where I was going. I don't know what else I was trying to compare it to. The last time it really did taste like a sour cream. This time it turns out a bit more tangy and less sweet. Hence the name sour cream is kind of creamy, and now this is more solidified. Which is the point of this, because you're supposed to, after the whey drains, you're supposed to be left with a semi-solid curd, which is what this is. And it will turn into something nicer looking than whatever I showed you whenever I take it out of the pot, season it with herbes de Florence, which is really good with chèvre, and also crackers and cranberries taste really good with chèvre. Anyways, that's about it. And also I did make a PowerPoint underneath here that has a lot more in-depth information about how the culturing happens and what turns into what in a culturing process, and specific details on what I did with my actual research in class. So, adios.